Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the issue number 7. Today's topic is fear. Fear. Being scared. So, what is being scared for me today? Well, I am filled with fear sometimes, in both good ways and bad. What does that mean? So, I believe firmly that there are good fears and bad fears, right? Or fears that I can use to accent my life, and those fears that I can use to stop me from doing or stifle my life. Okay, and really the truth of it is that there is a set of fears, a set of things to fear out there, and it's really right is really how I'm dealing with those things. So there's a couple of things going on with me today. So the first is, hilariously, I have two ridiculous pimples on my lip, and I thought, I'm 49 years old. How do I? Oh my God, it's aggravating. But here I am. I've decided to do this every day, so I get to do this with these ridiculous looking things on my lip, and get to be, fearful about it, and of course, I'm very slightly fearful about it because I really don't care. And there was something that was in my brain about, man, I really don't want to do this because I'll look like an idiot. So here I am looking like an idiot. The second thing I'm thinking about fear today is the fear of writing. So yesterday I was talking about the fact that my purpose in life is to serve the community and to give back to the community. And I've always felt that way, right? I've discovered that purpose in my life. I guess I was maybe 17 or 18 years old, and I went through this process, this long weekend process, and I found that was my purpose, right? And it hasn't changed, and it might change next week, but it hasn't changed to this point, right? 30 years later. And so, as I think about doing that and writing this book that I have all of this fear coming up for me, right? And it's this fear that I'm not good enough, or that I'm not going to be smart enough, or that I'm not experienced enough, and yada, 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 right? All this fear, right? And it is the exact same kind of fear that I have about going to trial, about going to jury trial. I have a very big jury trial coming up next month. Trial we've been prepping for a long time. And I have a fear about that, right? One of those fears I treat in a very healthy way, the fear about going to trial. One of those fears I'm not treating in a very healthy way, the fear about writing this book. And so what is it that distinguishes these two things, right? It's not the activity, right? It's not the fact that I'm going to do this thing, except that it is to some degree, right? So there is something to be said for the fact that this will be trial number 40 something for me, jury trial. And so, or 30 something, I'm not real sure. In fact, I need to count how many trials I've done, frankly, but it's somewhere in the high 30s, low 40s. And so I've done it before. I've done it a lot, and I know I'm good at it. That's not a question. It's not a question of whether or not I'm good at it. It's not a question of whether or not I'm skilled. I'm experienced. I understand. I know how to prepare. I know how to do it very well. In fact, when I go into that trial room to start it, I will be ready to kill it, fear or not. And there's a lot of anxiety that comes up for me at the time, and I know how to push through that and get forward. Well, here I am doing something that I've not done before. But the fear is the same, right? The fear is still sort of this unknown, because at any jury trial, there's an unknown, right? There are all these, in fact, at a jury trial, there are hundreds and hundreds and even thousands of unknowns, right? And so this writing this book is an unknown. Well, is it though? I mean, I've written a lot. I had to write in law school. I had to write in undergraduate school. I have to write every day at work. I write briefs, and and no one's ever like received a piece of writing from me and then sent it back with like throw up on it or something, right? Or like scratches through it like, yeah, this was so terrible I couldn't even read it. You're going to have to redo the whole thing before we even give you a shot at reading this thing. I mean, I'm not the greatest writer in the world. I never have claimed to be, but I know how to do it. I know how to overcome the fear and the anxiety about writing something difficult, about writing a 40-page brief, or writing the bar exam, or filing an appeal in an appeal court that I've never filed an appeal in before, or the Supreme Court of the United States, something I did in law school. And so I have overcome those fears and those anxieties previously. And so what is it, where does that come from for me? Where does it come from to overcome those fears? And I guess for me, it's just about knowing the why, right? As I continue to think about it, and continue to think through, why am I scared to do this? Why am I fearful of this? Why am I worried about this? Why am I going over and over in my head about this? It becomes a point of my purpose, right? Again, I go back to, I have to trust in my connection to my purpose. I have to trust in my connection to the voice. I have to trust in my connection to the universe or God or whatever you want to call it. I have to trust in that. I have to trust that I'm doing the right thing in my life, and that the things that I do are going to come out in a manner that's the most useful for the most amount of people. It's not going to be great for everyone. Some people are going to look at it and say, I know most of this. Some people look at it and say, this guy's crazy. Cool. That's cool with me. But I hope that the most number of people, that the largest number of people that come in contact with, the majority, the super majority, the 90% of them say, wow, this is really useful information. I'm glad this guy wrote this stuff down, because I know this and I knew that and I knew these things, but then he put together in this way, and I might tweak it a little bit, but boy, this is really super useful for me. And so if I can continue to see the purpose and connect with my purpose and connect with why I want to do this, that I want to do this to share, I want to do this to grow myself and the community, to lift people up, then that's where, to me, then the fear becomes secondary. Because I'm living in the truth of the moment, right? I'm living in the truth of my moment, living in the truth of my purpose. And so, and it's sort of what I talked about yesterday, but today's topic is really more focused on this external thing, this thing that I think exists out here, right? This fear is like, this fear, this thing is scaring me, I have to do this, and it's got me all stressed out. And it's just silly. It seems so foolish for me to have those kind of thoughts and ideas. And so, as I sit down to write and I sit down to start to organize the 40 or 50 pages of notes I have, I'm noticing that fear and moving through it by continuing to stop and breathe and say, all right, look, you know how to do this. Just do it. It's fine. You're doing the right thing. You're living your right life. You're living your, what you're supposed to do right now in life. And so take comfort, take solace in that, and in fact draw power and fuel and fire and fury from the fact that I'm going to do this thing, right? That's part of what goes on with me too, right? Because that's the other way for me to confront. I mean, I'm a guy, so for me to confront fear, sometimes I think, well, I'll just bow up, right? I'll just get I punch fear in the mouth, I'm ready. Let's get it on, And so I can use that same energy, right? I can use that same energy that says, hold up now, I know what I'm doing. Where's that fury that says, man, you're not going to stop me from doing what I want to do. You're not going to stop me and get in the way of me being successful. You must be nuts, man. You must have lost your mind. And so, I know I'm talking to myself. I get it. But it's useless. I mean, it's useful, excuse me. It's useful. It's useful for me to see that, oh yeah, I can move forward, right? I can talk to myself. I can see what's going on. I can get a sense about what's happening and fight it. Fight it with some fury and some fire and some energy, and living in my purpose and the truth of where I'm at. So that's my message today. Use the fear. Use the anxiety. Use the anxiety to sharpen the message and sharpen your thinking and sharpen your awareness, both in life and in the jury trial environment. Use it to be hyper aware, like hyper focused. I got it now, because that's, in the end of the day, that's what will make you the most successful. Have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you guys.